everyone. You're live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey. And this segment on caregiving will continue for another week. And I have a special guest with me. His name is Michael. And Michael will come on and share about his struggles and his experiences as well as a caregiver, as well as being cared for. So good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good.
Say, listen, I want to go ahead and jump right in, okay? Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay. Tell us, how did you begin to become a caregiver?
It wasn't by design. No. It's something that just kind of happened. As Sarah's health got to the point it got to, I just, I thought that's what I was expected to do as a husband.
So can you explain a little bit more on what happened when you and Sarah got married?
Sure. Sarah, through her life, has had autoimmune issues. But when we got married, her health noticeably went downhill. And after a while, we had to move in with her parents, and it was the fall of, I think around 2-3 years ago. It's all blurs in the world of caregiving. That we were sitting down and watching a movie, and she started to have a seizure. And that's when it got worse, where she started to have multiple seizures. Beforehand, when we were living on our own, I noticed things like she started to walk funky and sometimes fall on the kitchen floor, and I had to pick her up and carry her to the couch and spend time with her and take care of her. And that's when I still had a job, so it was very difficult at that time. And what's been helpful is being able to be around her more, taking care of her needs. So it's just something that kind of happened. I remember some family said, it's like your vows were tested right away. Mm. So I thought about the good things to look forward to when we got married. I didn't think about the hard parts.
Oh. Well, I'm sure that you didn't expect any difficulties, in the first stages of your marriage and everything. So it's definitely explainable on the shock, I'm sure, that you've experienced.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So can you just share, how did you handle it mentally and emotionally through this time?
Well, to be honest, a big part of it is my faith. If I didn't have my relationship with Christ, I don't know how I would have handled it. It's been difficult, but I've been often reminded of how he cares so much. One of his names is Emmanuel, God with us. Mm-hmm. And so I look to him for strength and everything I need in that sense. The second thing is people who care, who listen and try to help in different ways, whether it's praying or supporting us somehow or encouraging us. So that's helped a lot because, as a quote goes, no man's an island. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So those are two things that really helped me. And another one is just really hoping someday everything will make sense. Someday, hopefully, there will be us to step out of this into a better light.
Mm. I do understand what you're going through, and is dealing with the situation that you didn't expect, and you're like put in it. Because it was similar with me and my daughter. Didn't expect for her to be as sick as she was, and I was put in it as well. And it seemed like when we are in those times, that's really see how strong we are. So do you feel like you're stronger now than you were before?
I feel a combination. I feel like in another way, everything becomes kind of transparent. You really are tested for what's there when things are tough. And I know how weak I am without God. And so in that sense, I see how strong I am in Him. And I also feel like certain things I went through in my past helped me kind of prepare me for this moment. So I can look back on things from my past and know that those things made sense to build the character I needed to be for where I'm at now.
That's good that you see that your own personal life or your own personal issues have played a part in you becoming the person that you are, when so many of us or so many people believe that, they look down on the things that they've been through because it might have been a rough time or, a hard time for them to deal with. And they don't really look at it as something that made them better or stronger to be able to, to handle things. So that's really a good positive insight that you've acquired to look at your past and say, wow, this helped me to be, stronger as a person and your faith as a husband. So how does Sarah, how is she handling this situation in her life as well?
It's been difficult. I've seen, through this journey, and it's been a long one, the various emotions she's been through, the various ailments she's been through. I've seen moments where I can make her smile and laugh. I've seen moments where she's been breaking down in tears and pain, losing sleep. So there's times where, she gets encouraged and looks forward to a better future. And there's times where she knows God is there with her now. And then there's times where she's like, oh, this is so difficult. Can you just take me, Lord? Yeah. So I've seen and witnessed the whole gauntlet of emotions.
Yeah, and she's with with other people too. Other people feel the same way, and we do feel that okay, it's enough. Get me out of here. It's like that. Beam me up. Beam me up, Scotty. Let's go. I'm ready to. I'm ready to. I'm done, Lord. This is enough for me. But God keeps us here for a reason, and like you said before, you may not know what it is, but He has a purpose.
Right.
If there's nothing else for you to be on this radio station to let people know the struggles that you have as a caregiver, and not only you, but other people.
Yes.
Are struggling. Go ahead.
And there's some things that we don't see yet as to why things happened, what were allowed to happen. And there's some things we get a glimpse into that just kind of gives us that encouragement we need. For example, there's been, our video that was spread. There was a young man who contacted me, a single young man, and he said, this is a great example of marriage. And I was, at first, I was kind of thrown back, like, oh, I thought he would kind of want some kind of, struggle-less marriage, if you will. And this other person said, they said, if this is what Christianity is, I want it. And I'm thinking, suffering is what makes you want this. So it's been a testimony in a way. I've been able to also kind of share with young people who were scared or leery about marriage, and they said, seeing how you are committed makes me want to think about marriage someday. Because you're a living example that the stats aren't completely true. And I would get to share how it's very important to get to know each other when you're meeting someone, and how that really pays off in the long run. Really know, this is who I am, type of thing. And that's, Sarah and I built a strong foundation, and she was very upfront with me when we first met, she said, I have, an autoimmune condition, and sometimes it can flare up and that kind of thing. When we first met, she was more functional, but she hasn't had a seizure before, but she was very upfront, and I said, I want you. I feel like God brought us together. So I was up for the call, if you will.
Well, you know what? Just listening to you, and of course we've talked before and heard your story, that you're definitely equipped to be with Sarah for the time for what's going on in y'all lives. Because you know what, Michael, so many people that I've talked to and couples I've counseled as well, they have some of them would just get up and leave through the struggle. They would get up and leave through the situations, whether they have to care for their wife or to care for the husband. They feel like that is not, their calling in a sense, or what they were really meant to do, or to hang in there. And they forget the vows that says for good and bad, sickness and in health.
Yes.
And so, go ahead.
I was going to say that's something that really is dear to my heart, is making an impact on those kinds of people, because that's one of the things that really breaks my heart, and I can only imagine the heart of God. And one of the things I think about is, would God ever leave me? And he wouldn't. He would never leave me or forsake me, so why would I do that to my wife or anyone else I love, for that matter?
Well, I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. And I was going to say, I've told people he's the ultimate caregiver. So, he helps me through that. And I just think if I can give hope to some young individuals, or anyone for that matter, thinking of getting into a relationship, one of the things I would want to say to some young people, at first I would say it, but I would explain it. I'd say, if you're thinking about getting married, don't. But I would say, just kidding. I don't mean literally don't. I mean, really think through what you're doing. Take it seriously. Don't, when things are rough, don't leave someone. How many times that people would say, oh, Sarah's lucky, you're still with her. And I'm thinking, why is that? I actually didn't take it the right way, because I was like, that shouldn't even be a thing. That should be how things are in marriage, that whenever something happens, you stick it out. It shouldn't be, I shouldn't be the abnormal person. It should be a normal thing to stick it out, to love through sickness and in health.
Well, see, you're an example to many people that somehow, for some reason or another, they don't have the faith, and two, they don't have the love and the perception that God gave you, because you've turned it from being outward to what you wanted to inward, and saying, God, you wouldn't leave me. You're the ultimate caregiver. So you had a different perspective. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he's allowed you to see Sarah through his eyes. And so by doing that, you see the love of God and how God loves us, even in the worst situations and stuff. But you did mention that he's a caregiver to you. How has God supported you, and who are the support system that you have in your life during this situation?
God has, in the sense of, he has those little gentle reminders or whispers, or you hear him speak through the word or a song, or, and one of the things he was telling me is rest in me. It's okay to do that. Another is, we overlook the emotions. Sure, emotions shouldn't rule our lives, but we're not supposed to ignore